Hello and welcome to the Despreneur Podcast. My name is Thomas Lornavicius, I'm the founder of Despreneur, and I'll be your host. In this show, I'll connect and talk with top designers, successful entrepreneurs, and tech visionaries. The goal of this podcast is to unlock your potential and help you build a successful business and live with purpose. So hello and welcome. Today I'm having Lydia Lee, who is an inspiring career and life coach, podcast host, and founder of Screw The Cubicle that helps purpose-driven people discover the right business idea, bring it to life, and own it, of course, so they can quit the 9-to-5 and start living a life of freedom. Welcome to the show, Lydia. Pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me, Tomas.
Absolutely. It's a great pleasure for me because you invited me to your podcast some months ago, which was I think last year. So
yes.
So when I needed a guest, I was thinking I really need to first like give it back to people who really believed in me at the first place, and then see for new guests. So thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, we had such a great conversation when I interviewed you, even though I think you were in Lithuania in like this really loud coffee shop. I remember the banging of the the cups and all that. But we had such a great conversation that people started to ignore the background and actually listen to what we were talking about, which was really valuable for my audience.
Oh, thank you. So I'll start it off with the first question. You recently launched, just probably like a week ago, launched the course Startup the Sold Out. Can you tell me the story of it?
Yeah. So Startup to Sold Out was an idea that I had. Well, actually, to be honest, it went back even further in a way that this is a process, or I guess the blueprint for me that I teach and that I coach most of my private clients. Right, in the last 3 years that I've been running this program. It was called something different when I had the private coaching program. And what I realized is that after doing 7 retreats last year and doing a couple online classes, I discovered that I really love teaching. and teaching is a bit of a different dynamic than coaching, but I do love both, but teaching is almost the next stage and phase of my business that I'm going into. And so this program was really for people that came to me often, and this is kind of the most common thing that people come to me for, which is they're successful people that have been in corporate, or they are in corporate right now, but because they've never built a business before, they're finding a hard time kind of valuing their skills and really positioning their skills. So they've got a bunch of skills that they are good at, but where do they focus on, and what do they build? What do they create that is of value to other people so that they have something to sell, right? We have a business, we could have great branding and websites, but if the thing that we offer to make money isn't strong and it isn't what people want, then of course we don't have a business, right? It doesn't matter how beautiful you make a website. So this is kind of time and time again the issue that was coming up for people, really this confidence and clarity around creating a business, launching their first offer to sell, and really finding customers, because most people don't know how to find customers online. They've always worked in a physical job, and this is kind of the part of the process of what I teach. So back in the end of last year, in around November of 2015, when I kind of outlined the way I wanted to teach this course, it was tempting to just put it up on Teachable, right, and go, or Udemy, and just go, well, I'll just sell it like that. But also I knew that if I was to follow through to my own map of what I teach, I always believe in beta testing. I always believe in validation before we put a lot of effort and time and money into creating something. So I actually ended up putting a call out to beta testers for this course and ran it as a small group in November, a group of 6 people, very intimate. And part of that experience was to test out the curriculum with a group, but also to get feedback and testimonials and refining the process before I actually launch it in a self-guided course. So it's taken, I guess, since November and then till, let's say, end of January to finish this beta round. And then I started creating the actual course to be launched on Teachable, which meant that I had to film the videos, did all the worksheets, and really had a proper self-guided format. And as you said, I just officially launched the course last week, and it's been really exciting getting people into the course.
Yeah, that's cool. And I like how you explained the whole process. And my question is, how do you convince people to join the beta course? Because usually it's just like, you're just assuming a lot of things, and there's of course there's value, but most of the time you're just guessing. And how do you make these people believe in you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I needed to really do some research and really do some surveys and Q&As around the pain points that my customers have. So I would say that for me, my biggest point of contact was my Facebook group, which you're a part of, called The Unconventionalists. And then I've got my email list, right, of people that have been following me. Maybe they haven't bought anything sometimes, but they're there for me to ask questions. So I did do a series of kind of general questions down to chunk down more detailed questions. And then I did a kind of a master survey, really asking people what were everything that they're suffering with, in sequence in a way. What were they willing to pay for? And what type of format were they comfortable with? So did they need to have a community? Did they want to have me, a part of the course? Do they only need me once a month, or is it once a week? So very detailed sort of duration and length and price of the course as well. So that was, let's say, that took about 2 weeks or 3 weeks to kind of gather that data and research, and then make sense of it and go, all right, where can I see which problems can I solve that are most valuable for people to actually exchange their money for? And what I realized was that people that were kind of in the cusp of they have an idea, but they just don't know what to do with it, versus people that have no idea. It is the first people that would do it, that would pay money because they've got an idea, something tangible. They want to make something out of it. Whereas someone that doesn't have any idea at all, they might likely buy a book or they might watch my videos, but those guys aren't as urgent. They aren't as hungry because, they're still kind of going, is this for me? Do I really want to quit? Do I even have anything to offer? Whereas the people that have been kind of toying with an idea, or at least know a vague direction of what they would like to do for work, those guys were more motivated to spend money and also get help, because that's what they're spending money for, right? That exchange of value. So that's when I started crafting the course, really according to the data, according to what people are telling me that they want to buy, right? What people are telling me that they seek to solve and need that help right now, right? So that really they told me what to create in a way. And of course, then I use my own Lydianism, or Lydia's way of bringing them there, right? Which is kind of the process. And I can keep my uniqueness and keep my style in that sense, but validate it with my own customers to know what to create. So this is kind of, a great example in a way of how I did this, is what I teach at Startup to Sold Out, to validate ideas, to research, to really form enough information from real people and real humans that you can have conversations with to help you create a product, to help you create a service. And then when you launch that, you can have a bit of confidence, right, in knowing that this is something that people will buy. So when I launch the beta requests, I'm looking for beta testers, I really did outline these pain points, right, from the research. I was like, here's where you're at. Here's what you're struggling with. Here's what will make your world absolutely better. And here's how we're going to get you there. And that landed really well because, again, I'm using languaging. I'm using messaging that my customers already have told me they wanted to hear. And that was really good because I got the beta testers really quickly. They were the exact stage of people that really needed my type of help and that type of course. And so when we ran it, everyone was in a ready stage, right? And I did charge money for the beta, but not because they got me involved every week on a group calls. It was valuable for them, because they almost got a bit of a self-guided course, plus Lydia on a group coaching call, plus we've got this private Facebook group that we work on together. So they have access to me and they didn't have to pay me, my private coaching rate. So it was really a win-win situation for both of us. And I really wanted to make it in a way that kind of very fair and easy to buy beta round.
I love it. Sounds very fair, and as you say, very, very good situation for both sides. And
yeah,
you talk a lot about systematic approach to doing things. And myself, I launched not a single product or project in the past. And if I just launch it, I have this idea, I'm gonna just launch it next week. Usually, no one would give a damn about it. So, so I really learned the importance of being systematic, and your course provides this kind of a blueprint. Can you just tell me, like, how did you learn the steps, and what are the steps that you actually apply to your products and projects now?
Well, how did I learn? Well, I screwed up a lot of times to be able to kind of figure out the right route for myself. So, as you know, as a new entrepreneur, back in the day for me and for you, I'm sure as well, is that a lot of times we get really excited about creating something and we put it out there, right? And we have this mentality sometimes that, well, if we build it and it's pretty and it looks good and it markets well, or the marketing, language is good, people will buy, right? And that's what we hope to happen. But it's not true. If you build it, they don't come sometimes, right? It's kind of like in the movie, I don't know if you've ever seen The Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner. Is it Kevin Costner? Yes, he has a farm and there's these ghost baseball players where they say, if you build it, they will come. And that's the famous line in that movie. And I wish that was true for business, but it's not true. Because if you validate it and test it, I believe then they will come. So it was from my own failures, my own mistakes, to be honest, of launching things and actually not succeeding, right? Where crickets were happening, nobody bought. And then that really brought me to start experimenting with different ways to, how do I sell this before I create it? How do I not make so much effort and stress and anxiety to myself and really do it the right way and be strategic about it? Because I am very kind of a heart-based person. Like I have instincts and I like to do things on a whim, and that served me well in some things. But I think there's this combination and balance of strategy with instinct, that will make something kind of launch successfully. So from my own mistakes, I've kind of been able to craft up these steps that's going to answer to, as I said, these other issues and pain points that my customers experience. So really the first thing that I always put every client through in the beginning, whether it's a private coaching or group call or even this course, is really understanding and mastering the foundations of your business. And what foundations are is really, what are the strengths that you're coming with that your customers really count on you for? Why are you made to do this business? What's the story behind your business? And what is that purpose of your work? Because if you don't understand that purpose and your only purpose is, I want to make money, well, that's going to shine to your audience, and they're not going to like that because people are buying you, especially if you're a people-based business. They're not buying just your solutions, they're buying you as a human. So if you're likable, you're someone that they resonate with, you have values that they align with, they like you as a person, that's more likely that you're gonna win them over to continue reading more or subscribing or even being interested in anything that you're making, right? And then also really understanding what you're actually doing. Like, what do you help people with, right? So saying I'm just, I'm a web designer, that doesn't help that person know what you really do. Yes, you do web design, but what exactly do you do for me that I can't do myself? So is it that, you're really great at creating a site that actually makes people do things? There's you're an expert in kind of customer journey of design of websites. So you're not just making pretty sites, but really functional and actionable sites that make people money, right? Like that might be your area of expertise. So there needs to be kind of this deeper expression of how you do something and why people should care about what you do, right? Which is, again, the practical piece of the solving of the problem, but also who are you and why should I trust you? Right. So that's kind of the key foundations of a business. And, it's kind of, I look at it like building a house, right? Like, I'm sure you'll agree with me, Tomas. It's like you can build a house, but let's say you have a really shitty foundation and it's on like a slanty hill, but you focus on interior design, right? So you go straight into the house and you make it all pretty, and then a gust of wind comes and that house goes down the hill. Right. So that's kind of how I look at foundations of your business. You're gonna get swayed everywhere and get, distracted by other people's businesses if you don't get your foundations properly, solid, and really understand what you stand for and what your business stands for before you start creating things or marketing things to the world. That's kind of the first step.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I guess we go into kind of your customer, right? Because you're creating things for other people, right? So we need to understand those people. We need to really get in their heads and dive into their perspective and learn from them and converse with them, not to hide behind our computers, right? To really get out there in the online world, whether it's using social media or using groups, whatever it is that you do, to get in front of your audience and start to have relationships, to build relationships and talk to people, ask them what their problems are, and really see the world from their shoes. to understand what to create for them. And from that, you can then start to understand what problem you can solve for people, because that is really what a business is built upon, is can you solve a problem that someone else is hungry to get a solution for? That's why they pay for it. So it helps you define and pinpoint your problems that you can solve with your service. That way, kind of making your messaging much stronger and much more for people to take action on. And then in the kind of the middle of the course, we start to go really into crafting kind of this journey of your customer. What do they need to know in the beginning? How do they end with you? What are these milestones that they have to make? What are these many wins along the way that your customers have to have in order to get the results that you promise? And what are these results, right? And that way you can, when you write a sales page, for example, or market your services, you can really identify these kind of key milestones that people want to achieve, right? And know that you're going to bring them to that result. And then you on a personal level as a business owner, this is when you'll start developing what I call your business blueprint, which is kind of this framework of what you do from beginning to end. So instead of if you're a consultant or even a web designer or digital strategist, whatever you are, sometimes if you don't have structure in what you do, knowing that every call or every interaction with your customer has a purpose and as an intention, you can start to kind of let the customer dictate the direction. And that's not what people hire you for. So you almost have this map of what you do, or this process of working with them, which is really cool because I think that gives you structure. That helps you value what you really do because you can really see, oh, look, it takes like 10 steps for me to get someone to results. So you're going to price accordingly. Right? You're going to know it's this long of a course or is this long of a relationship. And then you know how to price and know the value behind your work and prepare for each session or each module ahead of time. And like I said, have this sort of map of a process. So it's really sequenced and it makes logical sense to bring them through. And then, of course, we work on beta testing, which is something I stand really strongly behind, of testing your offer with real people. And I really help you figure out how to get beta testers and enroll them in your beta test lab offer so that you can have testimonials and confidence working with people before you start spending money on a website, logo designers, and all that kind of expensive stuff, because now you really know it works. You really know your process is correct. You have refined it. You have made it ready to be ready for offer. And how great is it when you launch your site, there's testimonials, right? Like there's already credibility there and people trust you for your work. And that's the amazing thing that I missed out on when I first launched my business. I didn't do this part. So it's so hard for me to get people to trust me in the beginning. And marketing, we have to market ourselves online. So the end part of the modules, I work on really helping people get visible, learning how to give value to people before people pay you, and really picking the right marketing channels that are most suited for your personality, most suited for your types of skills, because we don't want to do 10 different types of marketing, platforms like Periscopes and then YouTube and everything, because it gets really overwhelming for a first-time entrepreneur. So they really start to focus and pick the right platforms that work for them.
I love it. I really like that you mentioned the value-based pricing, because so many people look at like courses and they cost like $1,000, $500, $300, and they think, oh my God, how am I gonna pay for 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour course like $300? But they don't realize the thing that, okay, you spend this money probably in a month anyway for your coffees and cinemas and popcorn, and it doesn't really like contribute to your future. And when you tell them, well, this course might potentially change your life or like will help you generate, let's say 10, 20K in the next 2-3 years. So when you really like try to persuade them, I think it's a good thing, as you mentioned, like value proposition and differentiation and really showing the value of the course.
Yeah. And also I think it's about what is it costing your customers not to get help, right? Because time is money too. Right? Stress can be calculated as an expense, right? So like how much is it worth for them to not be having sleepless nights, to have direction, to have a mentor, to have a coach or whatever it is that you're selling, to lead them through, these well planned out sequences, of strategy or action or whatever it is that you sell, right? Because that person is wasting time trying to figure it out on their own or doing it themselves and failing. I mean, that's also something to highlight. What is it costing your customer not to get your help? And so you'll know if you did the research and converse with people that, what have they been spending time doing? What are they wasting their time doing? What have they already tried and what hasn't worked? So that you can also say, hey, I know that you're doing this. I can tell why it hasn't worked for you. And this is what I believe is the solution based on my own experience, based on my way of solving it as well. And, if you believe what I say, then you're going to read on, right? So I think that's important to highlight too.
Absolutely. You've been doing so many different workshops on site and then coaching calls and it's been forever, and you have so much experience, and I can feel that for you it's very easy to connect with people. But how did the process of creating an online course look like for you? What were the main challenges? Was it production, post-production, or research, as you mentioned? What was the actual work that you had to do for this course?
Well, one of the biggest things that I had to learn, right, was the difference between coaching and consulting and teaching. So I think a lot of coaches probably have this issue where they've been coaching for years and they really do know their stuff. But then when you start to turn it into curriculum and you turn it into a process where people can do it without you there, now all of a sudden you're in a new different beast of a model, right? Or a beast of a format. And that takes a skill. That takes a new set of skills to learn to do this, to turn your coaching or your consultation formula into a teaching modality, right? That's really what it is. And so I really discovered early on when I tried doing it myself, turning that formula. It's really hard to look at yourself, isn't it? To really know what you do sometimes because, even though I've gotten results for a lot of my customers, but to really identify step by step what I really did, I'm in my business too deep to sometimes pull out some of these creative stuff I do, and I don't realize I did it. And so I was finding it a bit difficult sometimes to really outline and define my formula in a self-guided course, and what parts of me to use that are important, to showcase in the course. And so what I ended up doing is that I ended up hiring a curriculum coach that specialized in helping service-based coaches turn and really, first of all, identify the formula and then turn that into a course, turn that into a teachable format that isn't going to give away too much, because sometimes we can overwhelm students with giving too much information, and really be bounded, have some boundaries around what is a right for right now and good for this course only, and not overgive, let's say, advanced training or things that don't matter as much into the course to not distract the students. So that was kind of a huge learning curve for me because I've got so much knowledge in my head in the past 4 years of being an entrepreneur that sometimes I just want to tell everyone everything, I just want to say, here is everything I know about running a business. But I have to always remember that this course is really level 1. Right? It's for people who never had a business before or have struggled with launching a business, and it's their first business. So I can't give level 2, 3, 4 information. That might come in other courses, and really stick to the outcomes of this course. So that was the biggest learning curve for me.
Yeah, for me it was totally the same. Was how not to give too much, because I'm
how not to
oh my God, I just want to teach you everything I know, and it's really hard to stay away from giving too much.
Yeah, and you forget, right? Sometimes you forget what it felt like in the beginning, right? When you knew nothing. And so that's why the research and the validation with people, that's the most, in a way, valuable piece there, is because you might not remember how it felt like to be Tomas years ago, where you know nothing about being an entrepreneur, right? Or even web design. And going back there, to speak in your level at that point and only give you the things that you needed to hear or needed to do to move you forward, because you're now 45 years, whatever it is, ahead of them now, right? So it's really going back in time almost and going, what did I need to know, at the time? And sometimes you don't remember. And so that's where you go out there and ask those people who are currently at that stage, currently suffering with that problem. And then you're really going to get that information from the horse's mouth. Right? You're really going to know for sure this is what people struggle with. There's a common theme happening. People are saying, kind of repeating the same things. And that's going to give you a bit more confidence going, yes, this is definitely a module I have to include, or this definitely an approach that I have to make. And again, because it's validated.
That's absolutely true. And And I'm not sure. I'm just like listening to you, and sometimes I hear these roosters in the background, and I'm
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if because I'm having roosters in the background here as well. And then
Yeah.
I'm just not sure if they are synced because I have them here like a second before, and then after a couple of seconds I hear them on your side. So you're based in Bali, right? For now?
I am based in Bali, and I was just going to say that maybe our roosters are communicating to each other.
Oh, that would be that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But they cannot hear each other. But anyway.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyway, what were the steps for you to actually get from the 9 to 5 contained box in Vancouver, right, to
Yes.
Bali?
Yeah. Vancouver is a beautiful city. I love it. It's my home. But it's a very expensive city to live in, right? And when I first started my business, it was obviously from Vancouver, and it was a pretty difficult first year. And business in the first year is always difficult, right? You're learning new things, you're failing. Lots of things happen in the first year, and so I started my first 2 years of business, or a year and a half, 2 years of business in Vancouver, where I actually ran 2 businesses. So my first business was not Screw the Cubicle. It was almost a transition career from my old career that I ended up opening an agency and having a kind of private boutique agency for the education industry that I was in. And that was making me money in the beginning because that was what I knew the most, right? But it wasn't what I was passionate about. I was passionate about education, which is what I still do today. But I wasn't passionate about that industry anymore or the people that I was helping there. It felt like work. But it did get me out of the cubicle. And I have to be thankful for that. And I learned a lot in that business. And then Screw the Cubicle kind of landed by accident, to be honest, in my lap because I started a blog kind of documenting my own journey, my own transition, all the fears and the identity crisis that I had after leaving my own 6-figure corporate job that I thought was going to be the career for me. And I think people really related to those fears and understood that actually you didn't need to know everything. You can be scared of the journey, but you can still do it anyway. And then I started getting, people asking me questions and taking me out for lunch and picking my brain on, what do I need to prepare to quit and things like that. And then I started to really talk more about it, really for free in the beginning, helping coach people for free. And then I started to realize, wait a second, I really enjoy this. I really enjoy talking to people about this whole alternative way of looking at work, this whole alternative way of looking at life, about what's important to us, about how much money do we really need to make to be happy at this current moment in our lives? Do we need to really wait till we make, X amount to then enjoy life? Because we know that doesn't happen. You get more work, you get more stressed. And I love talking about that topic. So I started to kind of, again, I beta tested there too, where I took on 8 coaching clients for free in the beginning of time because I didn't know if I would be a good coach. I would never, really been told I was a coach before. But it wasn't until I tested really like how I worked with people, I started to understand that actually naturally I am a problem solver. Naturally, I love people and I love helping people get to a goal, whatever that is, right? And right now in that time in my life, my biggest goal that I made was quitting my job, right? So that was almost the best thing that I could talk about at that time. So I started there. And then it evolved. It evolved into when I grew the business of Screw the Cubicle into a personal brand and helping more people globally and having everything virtual, where my business can be ran from a laptop. Once I discovered all the things that I needed to do for myself, then I started to teach other people what I knew. And, I gave up the first business after the second year, and I ended up packing up everything, selling my furniture, everything I owned, really. My life is really down to 2 boxes in my mother's house right now. And I moved to Asia, not knowing actually it was going to be Bali. And I went to Cambodia first for a month, decided to come to Bali to do some writing because I was writing a book at the time. And I came here and fell in love with the place and fell in love with the community of entrepreneurs and digital nomads and location independent people that were really speaking my language and I really could connect with. They also love to travel, that sort of stuff. And so Bali became, and Ubud, particularly in Bali, became my base. So I've been here for about 2.5 years now. I still travel, but this is kind of where I call home right now until that feeling stops. But for now, it's great.
That's so inspiring, and I wish I heard this like 2 years ago. But you mentioned the feeling until it stops. So I want to talk about that feeling actually. You mentioned you're location independent and pretty much your business is very mobile. You can take it anywhere. How did that make you feel when you truly realized that you don't have to be contained in any space ever again?
Oh, it's like, I don't even know what the word is, but it's almost like you wake up and you feel like you have choices. And it's this other aspect of freedom, like when people think about freedom living, freedom based, location independent careers, we see the ads, right? We're like, oh, free to be in the beach and lie in the coconut trees. And, that sort of like make money while you sleep, that sort of ads. And that wasn't really what I was craving. Like, of course, I wanted to work smarter and more efficiently and make money. But really what freedom for me was really on a personal level, personal expression, personal and creative expression, like freedom to create. And that was a big thing for me. And so knowing that, first of all, my services could be like, I could create something one day, change it another day, and just like not have to deal with physical product. Like it's all digital. I could just get someone to change the image, or I can change the modules, or I can change, how I want to do something in a blink of an eye. That almost gave me a bit of power, a bit of like control over my own career, right? Which is a big thing that I was craving. And I think a lot of people do crave this sort of personal freedom of creation. And that felt amazing, to do that. And know that when I have an idea, for example, like something inspires me, and living in Bali, because you've lived in Bali as well, every day, every week, we're always kind of meeting people or seeing new perspectives really quickly that inspires us to want to create something, right? And I get that feeling all the time in Bali. And so part of that is really allowed me to act on those instincts, to act on those intuitions. And because it's all, online based digital stuff, I could just do a small test about an idea or, ask people things about that idea and really create some action around it so that it doesn't become like an idea or a dream that's in the back burner where it's one of those like, I'll only start it when it's perfectly, I know for sure I can spend money on this. Is, I can really validate these ideas really quickly, being online based. And that's really gave me a lot of creative control and a lot of fulfillment and satisfaction in the fact that I get to call the shots on what I want to create. So like, if I don't want to do that thing anymore, if something feels, because that's happened, right? Like I've done certain programs for, let's say, many years. And then there's a feeling of like, you know what? I feel like I have to level up, or I feel like this is the old work now and I need to upgrade my work to this now. And I can do that really, right away and start to make a call to clients that fit in that stage now. And that really helps me really move forward quicker, instead of just doing it because everyone else is knowing me for that, and really move faster with advancing my business.
Yeah, definitely. Freedom and flexibility. No one is actually working from the beach or laying behind the palm tree.
Yeah.
You just go there for taking a picture.
Yeah, and I know the reality check is like even those people that take pictures of themselves, which I'm also a victim of at times, to show people what a great spot I'm working from that day or whatever. But I think the reality check that people need to know is that it takes work, it takes effort, it takes focus, and it takes your passion to make that happen for you so that you can take days off like that. You can take a week off like that without having to sign a vacation request form to your boss. But that takes time. It's not one of those like you hit a jackpot of a formula, even though someone tries to sell you that you're just going to get there in a matter of months, It doesn't work that way. It really takes your commitment. And I think people need to understand that and embrace that. But if it's work that you enjoy, if it's people that you like helping, then those hours that you might spend launching a business or building your business to a point of making good money, that's not going to feel as angsty as working those 10, 15 hours or somebody else, right? So it's not about time spent or hours spent on your business. It's about how you feel in those hours, right? If you're feeling inspired, you're feeling creative, you're feeling joyful, it's a great thing. I don't think we want to sit under a palm tree all day. We'll get bored. We'll feel not of purpose after a while, and we'll want to dip and dabble into something else. And that's why philanthropists and people who have lots of money always have projects and, things on the go, because it's not humanly possible to wake up and have nothing to do and not have anything to want to strive for. That's the point of us living, is to all the time expand, ourselves and what we know about the world. And that's the exciting part. And entrepreneurship's definitely brought that sort of challenge and also blessing in my life.
There you have it, the essence of life. What's next for Lydia and Screw the Cubicle?
Well, as I said in the beginning of the podcast, is that I'm really going to be focusing a lot more on teaching this year, and that includes online, of course, but also includes live stuff. So one of the things that I experimented with last year is really doing more public speaking and doing more workshops that were live with people, because I do like working with people face to face. There's a change in the dynamic. I like being physically there, but I don't want my entire business model obviously based on the physical model. And this is a good kind of balance for me to have courses and affordable learning platforms that people can get a piece of my knowledge and get training. And then if they're in a place that I'm going to be in, or they want to travel somewhere in Asia to see me in a workshop, they can still do that, and meet me, for example. So this year it will be all about kind of getting my face out there to cities and places where I can be in front of people who want to learn about what is a cubicle-free career. Do I have the skills that I'm able to market online and make money online? What do I have to be courageous and confident on to do this? And I would like to speak more about that. I would like to help more people around that and travel more around the world to spread this message of how possible it is these days with technology to do that. So I'm going to be speaking in Singapore in around the end of April at a big kind of event called The Wedge, where it's all corporates and entrepreneurs seeking for balance of lifestyle and career. And then I'm going to want to do more talks maybe in the Philippines again. I might be going to Portugal in the summer. I'm going back to Vancouver, and I would want to do a couple talks there. So really public speaking and public workshops are in my radar of really strong things I want to focus on this year. And having courses and having these kind of online-based stuff really helps kind of support my time and leverage my time better so that I could be out there a bit more.
Wow, that's an exciting year. Thank you so much for sharing these.
Yeah.
So Lydia, I really respect your time, and thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and experience and positive vibes. Where can Despreneur listeners find you online and follow you?
Yeah, well, the best way is to obviously go to my website, which is screwthecubicle.com. If they're interested to learn and see what my course is all about, the one that I just launched, it's called Startup to Sold Out. So you could go to startuptosoldout.com, or if you go to screwthecubicle.com, you'll find a big button where it will say Startup to Sold Out, and that'll lead you to the course page where you can find out. I have a video there. You can find out the breakdown of the course, and there's a lot of bonuses that I include in the course, which is basically how to help people create their first opt-in or lead magnet for their offer, so to have something really focused. And I give a lot of value there on how to plan that out. And then I share my cheat tools and my online tools to run my business from anywhere. So if people want to learn what do they need to get, and they're all free tools or really affordable tools to run like a virtual office or run a virtual business, I really give it all away in the bonus for that course. So check it out. See if that's a good fit for you. People can email me and ask questions. I'm totally happy to help. So yeah, my website is usually the best way to find me. And then if you want to be part of a community, I do run a free community that Tomas, you're in as well, and it's called The Unconventionalists. So I'm not sure if you have a podcast page for this interview, but you can maybe put the link on there, and people can start to be a part of like-minded people and also be a part of all the challenges and weekly advice and tips that I give out in that group as well.
Sure. I'll put all the links in the episode notes. And thank you very much, Lydia, for inspiring me personally and inspiring so many people around, and actually providing so many different resources and help to really live the dream. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Tomas, for having me. And honestly, you are also amazingly inspirational. I mean, the things that you've done in the past year of writing for Forbes, and now, just all the new writing stuff that you're doing and bringing your knowledge out there to people. I mean, it's amazing, that you're such a go-getter, and you inspire me as well. So thank you for having me on the show and helping us together, I guess, spread, this message of independent living and putting power back to regular people to have more control over their careers. It's a great thing.
Nothing to say.
And that's where the podcast ends.
Thank you. There you have it. Thank you very much for joining me today in this episode. I hope you enjoyed and learned from it as much as I did. Thank you for today's guest. Please make sure to go to Despreneur, subscribe to the email list to get updates about the upcoming episodes and inspiring stories from design, technology, and entrepreneurship fields. Subscribe to the Despreneur podcast on the iTunes, and please leave an honest review. It really helps me to understand how I can improve and serve you better. It also helps other people to discover this podcast. I appreciate your time and feedback. Please let me know if you have any questions or suggestions. You can reach me on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. I love connecting with you. Thanks again, and bye until the next time.